Hello. You are watching an informative video to learn more about an English word. Perfect. P-E-R-F-E-C-T. Perfect. Definitions of perfect. Adjective. Having all the required or desirable elements, qualities, or characteristics, as good as it is possible to be. Perfect.
Oh, what's good, y'all? I'm DW. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I'm with the awesome Liam.
Hey, my name's Liam. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And we literally have been kicking to each other since elementary school. There's all these throwback stories that I'm sure we'll accidentally tumble down into.
Wait, you know what I did today?
What'd you do today?
I didn't tell you. I went back to the old stomping grounds to when we were 8 years old. Well, I was 8.
Yeah, I would have been older.
When we played football.
Yeah.
In the little commons. I did a whole tour around the old complexes today.
Why?
In the name of keeping my kid sleeping.
Oh, really? Oh, just driving around?
I was driving around, and as soon as I saw an eye open, I was like, oh, let me go drive some more because I don't want you to be awake. I don't want that kind of problem. So I went and I had like the memory lane thing.
Did you?
Yeah, where you go, like there used to be this complex and it would have this quad. There was a quad there. And on the weekends when we didn't have school, we were in elementary school, yeah?
I would have been in 6th grade and 7th grade.
And if you haven't caught this already, I'm very athletic and Liam is not. And I'm going to talk about this all the time.
Listen, I was a good wide receiver.
So we would play tackle football in elementary school, and it would always be like, you know, when you look at kids, you know, you have like your kids that are a little bit bigger, a little bit fatter, and you're like, yo, I don't want that kind of problem if you tackle me. And like we would have those kind of kids that were there, and then we would have, you know, Liam is like tall and slender. You've always been kind of like skinny. Tall and slender. Yeah. And from my purview, Liam was always like a little slow.
I don't know where that comes from. I was fast. Okay. Really was.
But for me, I was like the only person who looked like me on the field. Like not in terms of skin tone, but in terms of like my femme aesthetic. And so what would be awesome about this, imagine being an elementary school kid and you're playing this game like on Saturday or Sunday and you're playing tackle football. And then what would happen is the way the complex was built is that you have these college students that would sit on their balconies so they could see us. It was like they were in the stands. Yeah. So they'd be in our quote unquote stands and they'd be cheering us on every time we do like a touchdown or whatever. So it was like we were having these games, these monumental games in elementary school, and we were like, it was huge for us. So anyway, I went to these complexes and I had that moment, that little memory of me washing you with a spin move.
Did you touchdown. Do that? Did that really happen at some point?
Undoubtedly. So anyway, we go way back to elementary school.
Yeah, way back. So football was the originating event that brought the whole community together back then. It was very like United Nations-esque.
It was, though.
We had Puerto Ricans, blacks, whites.
White.
Was that it? Maybe that's not as United Nations as I think.
Maybe it's not as united as we thought it was going to be. But it seemed like that for us at the time, maybe in our limited, that's what we were aware of, in our limited way. Wait, so did we tell them what they listened to? This is the
So this is like What's Really Perfect podcast. And on this podcast, we're going to talk about transformative moments in music and the cultural impact those moments had on our lives and our world.
And our mission is to bring to light the perfect moments in music we think deserve a little more appreciation.
Yeah. And today we're going to talk about Jadakiss, and in particular, a verse from a song called Rite Where You Stand, which isn't even a Jadakiss song. It's a song on a group called Starr, who everyone's probably familiar with. They had an album come out kind of towards the end of their run. And Jadakiss just had a featurette, and he totally destroyed it. And in my opinion, it was a perfect moment for particularly street rap music. And I'm going to go into depth on why I think so. So here we go. All right, so I'm going to paint the picture for everybody of when this verse came out, for those that don't remember, or maybe they remember the verse, but they forget the context around when it came out. This is 2003, and this is basically the summer of 2003. So this is the absolute height of oversized, baggy clothes. I mean, absurd.
Tall tees?
Not even tall tees yet. This was like, because tall tees at least try to keep your width in perspective. This was just as baggy as the clothes could possibly be, oversized to the maximum.
Okay.
And that was cool.
Now, I heard you say street rap.
Yeah.
2003. Is this the apex of street rap?
So this is interesting. This is when 50 Cent comes out with Get Rich or Die Trying.
Oh, okay.
So this is almost like rap had just come out of this phase of kind of more R&B featuring on, like, you know.
This is like Mary J, Method Man, You're All I Need kind of thing. Nas, Lauryn Hill, If I Ruled the World. Is that time?
It was later than that, but you were right. Like Mary J had like a second run.
Okay.
And it was like right around that time where I feel like R&B was really the dominant force. And then 50 Cent comes out and just turns the whole country into like gangsta street rap
Bulletproof
obsession.
vest.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Right.
So it's this oversized clothes. It's 50 Cent is destroying the game. And this is 2003. I think some other things to hopefully jog people's memory about actually how long ago this verse was. This is when the first Iraq war started.
Ooh, where were you?
I was living in Boston, Massachusetts, and I worked at the bus station. I threw baggage under the bus.
Greyhound,
correct.
I remember.
Yes,
I remember.
I got free tickets.
And you used to have a coworker that would hit on you all the time.
Yeah, I had a couple.
I had a couple.
I did.
They weren't always femmes though.
Well, no. So one was, I guess, what you would call like a traditional girl, and she was like a sweetheart of sweethearts, and she just like the magic wasn't meant to be, but she was literally a sweetheart. It was one of those moments where like she would hit on me so aggressively I would be uncomfortable.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then the other one was actually,
what does that sound like?
When someone hits on me so aggressively.
When she hit on you so aggressively that it was uncomfortable. What does that mean?
It would just be like talking to her friend when I'm in the same room about how cute I am.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of problematic now in the workplace.
I
Can't do that stuff anymore. Doesn't matter what umbrella you're falling under, you have to like.
Ideally in the workplace, you don't want to have to come across that.
Exactly.
It always happens, though.
Yeah,
it always happens.
Amazingly, it always happens.
I've never been in a workplace where I've not had that happen to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, continue.
And coincidentally, I would say this is me out of high school in kind of like my college years, although I didn't go through this traditional college experience. And I remember not realizing it at the time, but realizing it now, that I was very homophobic. You're just talking about people hitting on me. And so I worked at the bus station.
Yeah.
And this is my first time where I had a flamboyantly gay man who was like my extreme work colleague. And I remember I had this very unnerving experience when I realized, okay, I have to work with this guy. And he's super gay. Like he would do the whole Beyonce choreography like to a T, right?
Okay, so let me place this, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say, in what I know you and like how we've traveled is I've always known you to be around like people who were just not into flamboyant, like into anything that was extra, let's say femme for a lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Right? That was always very like, you gotta be street, you gotta be hood, no homo. Like that was the language, right? So I'm imagining for you, this is the moment where you're like, whoa, I've never encountered this before. What's happening for me? What's going on here? How do I even exist?
Exactly. This is the whole fear back in the day, and I think our society has grown in certain regards, not all regards, but in one regard, I think for the most part now, back then it was like if you were seen near a gay person, you would just feel like you would be guilty by association. So you couldn't even be seen, right?
Facts.
And that was like my dilemma, whether I was facing it or not back then.
Let me add, I grew up a homophobic homo. Right?
Yeah.
So I just want to add that to kind of like place it too when I was growing up, because then it was like my first year of college.
Yeah.
And I was figuring out who I wanted to be in the world. And I had some experiences in high school. And like gay by association was a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
Like you didn't want to be gay by association. Like, you know, as like my family, the bull daggers got a little sugar in it. You know how people never want to name just gay.
Yeah.
right? So, or black folk never want to name just gay. At least that's my experience. So I'm just like laying the landscape of it's.
No, exactly. This is like the tone and setting, and I guess long story short, I was forced to be around this person. And then this is like, you see, all of a sudden you realize like, wow, this person is nice. And guess what? This gay person is not going to hit on me. Like, I may not even be this guy's type, like on and on and on and on.
Would you look at that?
And, you know, in my entire experience working at this place and living in Boston at that time of my life, he came away as one of the best friends I came from there. And honestly, I think cured me of my totally awful extreme homophobia. I know I'm not perfect and all sorts of things, prejudice proceed and stay with you in certain regards that you're not even aware of fully. But from just a straightforward perspective, like, it was a awakening for me.
But I think that that's real though, like how relationships can create a shift in us as individuals. And I think that's what's so dope about relationships. So 2003, you're in Boston.
Toxic masculinity is flowing. Yes. Like, that's 50 Cent comes out. Toxic masculinity is flowing like you wouldn't believe.
Great description. Yeah. Great description. So everybody's living in that world like times 1,000. Yep. Right. Iraq war begins. And you know where I'm at?
Where are you at?
I'm in my first year of basketball at college. Okay. And I'm protesting in the streets of New York. Oh. Frame that for you. So it was my first protest that I ever been to, protesting the war.
Yep. And I remember you had a teammate who did something with the national anthem that created a lot of controversy. And this is a long time before Colin Kaepernick.
Yes, turning the back to the flag while the playing of the national anthem. Yep. It's been documented. So this was also a moment too. So it was a moment of like, what I learned that year while all these things were happening is that was the saying, if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for everything. Mm. So I say that was like my year as it comes to like standing for myself, standing for like what I believe in, all those things, but like making choices about what that looks like. All right.
Yeah. And I think 2003, going off of memory a bit here, but I think toxic masculinity still exists, widespread, dominating force in our society, right? But Facts. I do feel kind of like we're talking about 2003, in my opinion, is around the time where there became at least a sliver of space for other stuff to begin to get in there. And I just remember this very specifically. Like I said, I came out of high school in 2001. And at that time, you couldn't be gay. You couldn't be around gay people. It was totally unheard of. And then in around 2003, 2004, I remember having people I knew who maybe were still in high school or something like that starting to say, oh, this person is gay in high school. And it was like actually...
That's huge.
It wasn't like some unbelievable thing. Still crazy, but...
Yeah. So, all right, I'm tracing back the years. Keep going. Yeah, Street music, 50
Just trying to put 2003 in perspective.
Yeah.
File sharing is at an all-time high. So, like, this is bootleg CDs. This is somebody's cousin downloads something for 13 hours off the internet. iTunes is brand new.
Napster
was the thing. So, this is 2003. This is what's going on. And again, I can't underpin it enough. 50 Cent came out and totally put street hip-hop on a national scale. And that's what's going on in America at this point in time.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
Would you classify NWA as street because it was gangster rap?
I think you're right. So, and I can't say with definitiveness here. There have been definite, like, there's this cycle, right? And every once in a while, street rap becomes the dominating thing in hip-hop. And I agree with you. I think there's street rap, gangster, like militant, ultra macho rap music. And I go ahead.
Could it be? I don't want to say safe, but safe to say that toxic masculinity rap is kind of bottled in that section a little bit.
Yeah.
Of like they ebb and flows a little bit. So even when we talk about like gangster rap, drill, trap, all those things, they're all wrapped in that little umbrella.
Yeah.
So street, toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And so this is kind of the vibe of the scene right now. So artists like Jadakiss, who is a street rapper, is kind of in a prime position to do well. And He was popular then.
Was that what Lox was dropping with the Rough Riders, and they came out with Holiday? I mean, that was a song on the album, but I remember when they came out with this album, Rough Riders came out with this album, and it was like the shit. I was listening to it like it was popping.
Yeah. I guess the way to put it, Jadakiss is definitely a name. He's the guy. People fuck with Jadakiss heavy. He's definitely already appreciated at this time.
Okay.
I would say for me though, I was more like this underground rap, like purist.
Okay.
And I was very resistant to like mainstream street rappers and giving them their due. Whether it was like Jay-Z or Jadakiss, I always had to say like some obscure underground artist was like the real lyricist, and like all my friends who like Jadakiss or Jay-Z was like, I was like, oh, they're just kind of following the trend. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, got you. Cause rap is pop now. Okay, but anyway.
Yeah. And like everyone remembers it. It's like an identity thing of like backpack rap and like
East Coast rap.
Yeah.
And
New
like
York
lyrical,
rap.
New York lyrical. Okay.
Hip hop, the whole like essence of hip hop or whatever that means. And when this song came out, it was when I started to kind of like finally put that facade away and say, you know what, Jadakiss is dope. Like he's way better than, some obscure underground rapper on like a message board on a website or whatever, right?
Because Jadakiss is dope.
Exactly.
Jadakiss is dope.
He's dope. And I had to finally like put that to bed. I was gonna die on that hill that like hardcore underground rap music is the best rap music. But at a certain point, you just have to face the music. And this verse in particular stood out to me in this moment where I had to accept reality. Jadakiss was better than. I'm trying to think of rappers that I like back then.
Ja Rule was out because 50 and Ja Rule. I remember 50 went up with Kanye. They did a double release. Who's selling the most albums? It was a big deal. So those are two pieces. I don't know if Benzino was there in that lane. So Benzino. So I'm just painting that landscape a little bit.
Yeah, but you're right. This just kind of hyper masculine rap music is probably at the peak that it has achieved and will ever achieve moving forward. Because I think rap is a little more diverse now than it was at that moment.
Got it.
But again, I had to accept the fact that Jadakiss was better than underground rappers. And in this song, to me, this verse in particular just totally solidified it, crystallized that moment, and was a pivotal moment for me. I guess what I want to talk about, for those that have listened to the verse comes out, it's kind of obscure. So do you remember this? Or when I brought this up, was this something that you would kind of, I don't even remember that song, that verse, or any of that when it came out?
Nah.
Okay.
Not at all, because I didn't even listen to Gang Starr like that. Like, I knew their name, but I wasn't like, when Wu-Tang, I listened to Wu-Tang by association, you know what I mean? Like, or the Chronic and stuff like that by association.
Yeah.
So, and I was like 90s into 2000s, right? So Wu-Tang Forever.
Yeah.
I think that was like 97. I don't know, but by association. So I was just kind of getting into rap a little bit, like, especially, let's say, street toxic rap.
And you're right. You like those ones, you couldn't avoid it. It was just there, right?
Yeah.
Jadakiss, Gang Starr, you have to seek it out, listen to it.
Right. I wasn't happily seeking out rap, because remember we're talking about toxic masculinity, and when I was like a teen, I'm not like seeking out my own abuse.
Yeah.
Right. So no, I wasn't seeking it out.
You like Jadakiss?
I do, because here's the thing, right? I am DW. Mm-hmm. Also, there is Dion, right? And I like to go back to like the understanding of my survival mode. My survival mode was very different than my thriving mode. In my survival mode, there was a little bit more violence there, right? So that part of me still holds on to like those records that I'm like, yo, this was it for me. Like, I really loved, this was a banger for me. You know what I mean? So like, In the Club was a banger for me. Yep. PIMP, that was a banger for me, right? So there's still those moments of like my survival mentality, especially when I hear verses, because Lox just did the verses with Dipset.
That's awesome. Yep.
You know what I mean? And I was understanding my own misogyny, like how that was working within my body. So I'm these moments are real for me, and I still can appreciate the lyrics within those moments, though.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So like that's why I appreciate Jadakiss, because I appreciate what Jadakiss brings to the table.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes talking about street rap, however you want to describe it, this kind of toxic masculine rap. What makes Jadakiss so good and is on display in this thing is the content is very limited. This song, he's basically talking about killing somebody, how cool he is. He's way into drugs. That's the whole content of this song, right? There's no curveball. There's no like surprise. But in that limited context, he's able to display pure talent on an undeniable level. And I think that stands out if you just listen to the verse by itself. And then unfortunately for someone like Guru, who's the actual artist that the song is, whose song it is, he's a good rapper and Jadakiss is a great rapper. And when you hear those two side by side in this song, it is undeniable. And I think for me, that's part of what made me appreciate Jadakiss so much. Guru kind of fit the mold of what I was supposed to like as a kind of like backpacky, conscious underground guy, because he's talking about like Malcolm X and part of it. He's talking about like, you know, he's trying to do these things that I know I'm supposed to be a fan of with the facade I had at that time.
So I would call it Lupe fiascoing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the reason why I call it Lupe fiascoing, I think Lupe is really brilliant at adding all of those topics. But I think like trying to do like Lupe fiascoing, trying to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, trying to show kind of how smart you are. And a lot of times do an effective job, but there's like an effort to do that. Right. Jadakiss was like, I'm sticking to the basics. I am not going to take a stretch into any sort of like conscious. I'm going totally mainstream here. It's a fastball right down the middle.
So give me an example. Like when you look at these lyrics, like what's an example of like I'm Jadakissing this right now?
Yeah. So I think if you know, he's talking about, you want to know why I invest all my money into haze and into dope, because I'm currently a slave to Interscope. Dope, scope, you know, these are not profound rhymes, right, next to each other. Mm-hmm. It's simply just he's able to take these kind of basic ideas and do it in this effortless, talented way that just separates himself from someone like a Guru who he's rapping next to.
So can I add to this? What I'm seeing here is that all my money into haze, into dope, right? Yeah. And because right now I'm currently a slave for Interscope. I think what's really great is there's a subversion here. Like the idea that you have all this money into haze and the dope, but then you're also a slave for a place that for a record label, right? Because Interscope is a record label. And I love the way that just in the opening, it's like, this is what I'm about to get into. Yeah. Like, I'm different. Yeah. You know, just laying that out of those two different things.
It's also self-deprecating.
Juxtaposing, yeah.
Yeah, and he's self-deprecating. He's saying, like, I'm doing all the street stuff, and I'm in this tight situation because I'm in a record deal that's apparently sucks. I
have to do the street stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he goes on for the rest of the verse, and it's all street stuff. He's talking about killing a guy, and you know the theme of the song is "Right Where You Stand," which is like kill somebody right where they stand. Just do it quick, get it over with. It's not a whole long, drawn out thing. He has this part where he kind of talks. He paints the scene of killing this guy, and most of what he raps about isn't about the actual act of killing the guy. It's about the aftermath afterwards. And he says this line of "Have the ambulance pass your Timberlands to your man." And it's like you can picture the crime scene.
Ooh, say it one more time.
Yeah, exactly.
Say it one more time.
Have the ambulance pass your Timberlands to your man.
Yeah.
To me, that's a very visual thing. It's a very like specific street reference, right? It's not meant to. My dad would never understand that line. Right. He would be totally lost. He would just be like, okay, like
okay.
I don't know what any of that means.
Are those steel-toe Timberlands?
Yeah. I don't even think he knows what Timberlands are, you know? It would just be way over his head. But it just paints a very vivid picture, and it's interesting because it's like you can see somebody died, right? He's even specifically referenced it. He's kind of painting around the lines, and you infer from that what's going on. Also, a fantastic example, we've talked about it before, Timberlands and ambulance don't rhyme. But when he says it the way he says it, they sound so great together, and they rhyme perfect.
Yes, I'm trying to see, like, is there an internal rhyme somewhere? But it's just styling on it.
Yeah.
Styling. So okay, so okay, so I just heard it.
Yeah.
I heard it a couple times in the car when you sent it to me, and then I heard it again recently. So my thought too is that when I listen to Jadakiss, what I think is unique about Jadakiss's voice is that it almost this like weird way for me, it's so comforting.
Yeah.
Like when I hear Jadakiss's voice, it sounds like a warm uncle.
Yeah.
Who's like, nah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like no matter what they say in real time and how violent it is, it's like, I got you. That's all I hear. Like Jadakiss can be rapping about this, and this, and I'm like, yeah, but Jadakiss got me though, right? Yeah. So for me, when I listen, and I think that the line too, and we haven't even got there. Maybe I'll wait because there's a line towards the end of it where I'm like, see, you could have said this, but you said this instead.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's the way when you talk about how Jadakiss, the intentionality that they bring to the lyrics, specifically this verse, and what makes it so masterful is the choosing of the words.
Yeah.
The choosing of the way to approach. So I think what's the part? Oh yeah. J to the moi.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm just like, yo, that to me has all the personality right there. And that little piece where I'm like, I know exactly who Jadakiss is. My uncle with a blanket who's rocking people to sleep, but it's taking care of me.
And again, I think you're right. His energy, his demeanor, his tone, it sounds like he's not trying that hard. And he's doing such a great job. And it just is this effortless talent that is undeniable, right?
Yeah.
He's not forcing a moment of it. It's just, it's flowing out of him.
Yeah.
I think another big thing to do is, from a kind of like a technical standpoint, it sounds like he does a one take, no overdubs, no ad libs. It's just a pure, he probably stepped in the booth, literally laid it down. I almost feel like it was a one take and then he left. Yeah. And I'm imagining Guru, whose song it is, standing there like, what the fuck, man? Like, you know, really, you know.
But this was like the term would they say God MC, where you go in to the booth and you don't write it down, but you just say like Biggie used to do or Jay-Z used to do.
Yeah, or even I think even if you prepared, like a lot of times when you're recording a song, like you make a mistake and you have to do it over again, or your breath control isn't right and you gotta like insert a word there because you ran out of breath.
Right.
When you listen to this, or they'll double it up to make it sound bigger than it is, or you hear the guy in the background going, "Yeah,
oh yeah.
It's like that," you know, all this stuff. He didn't do any of that. It's just like one vocal track, and it just plays, and then it ends. And I just feel like he stepped in there. It was like his turn to rap, and he did that. And I would assume Guru, the rapper whose song it is, was mortified, devastated. I would have been. He should have been if he wasn't, and just totally felt like, damn. That sucks. Because
this person is Jade is second, right?
Yeah, he's second. He's just a feature. He's like also featuring Jadakiss, and it's like
right. Okay, so this is the thing too. When I think about rap in like 2003 and stuff like that, is the idea of, I don't think people knew how practiced rappers were, right? Like I don't know what the situation is now, but I hear most of the stuff. Some of the stuff that I hear is like you're practicing in real time because some people are releasing their stuff before they're signed or they're like independent. Yeah. So you're hearing the rough cuts in real time, but you didn't hear the rough cuts as much with rap like in this era. Yeah. So this is also, like I say, masterful. Yeah. This person, Jada, rocking people to sleep with their voice and this very just calming, again, soothing to me, right? In this way, because that's the practice and the ownership of that, of like, I guess the practice and the ownership. Right?
Yeah. And a lot of times we think of hardcore rap music, you think of 50 Cent or DMX, like this ultra aggressive, and you can hear this aggression in their voices. And Jadakiss doesn't come across that way. He has this very raspy, unique voice, which has a level of aggression just in literally the sound of his voice. But his demeanor and his energy on it is this kind of calm, collected, cool, like, you know.
And that's almost more scary.
Yeah.
You know, like, the person who there's ruckus going on and they're quiet. Yeah. That's Jada on a track.
Yeah. Like, he's not even worried. He's got it all under control. An analogy I comes to my mind hearing this song. unfortunately, talking about toxic masculinity, is an idea comes to mind. And again, what made this song stand out to me so much is you have Guru rapping, who I'm the listener, I'm supposed to like that. But then Jadakiss just kills it so much that undeniable at that point. Jadakiss is really, really good. I was working out at a gym once, and I would go to this gym all the time. It was a big room, Gold's Gym. So all the equipment is in this room. It's a lot of hypermasculinity. I'm sure steroids are flowing like crazy.
Right.
Not that many women going to this gym.
I remember Gold's.
Yeah, I think you visited me one time there.
Yeah, I didn't want to be there.
Yeah, I got swolled up there, but and I would go work out, and I love the gym dynamic. There's mirrors, people are looking at each other. There's this whole thing going on, right? Yeah. And there's alpha male kind of energy flowing through it. The big gym dudes, this is like their moment to shine.
And
this is like toxic
like
masculinity.
Tanks,
they love this. Yeah.
Like ripped tanks with like no shoulder on it. It's just like, oh,
they live for this moment, right?
Yeah.
And for the most part, it's geared towards big muscle dudes, right?
Right.
This gym I was at, so I would go there. I would kind of keep a low profile. I would work out, but I would observe everything. I love watching. And there was a particular lady there who would go there all the time, and she would dress in very kind of like scandalous outfits, so to speak.
Is it the same way that the people, the other like the male identified people would dress? Because they would, when I go to Gold's Gym, they have spandex, no tops on.
Yeah, like.
But it would be scandalous because it's her.
Yeah, and dressing to get attention. Right. I think that's the better way to describe it. And this particular lady, she was eating it up. I'd be sitting there working out, doing my little reps, and I would peep the whole situation. Big muscle dude would come up to her. Oh, young lady, you're not doing this right. Let me show you the right form.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, it happens all the time.
Yeah, and I'm sure most women, I think, hate this. They don't want anything to do with this.
Leave me alone.
She loved it. She loved all this attention. She would bask in it. And she was the most attractive woman in this gym at this moment.
Of zero women, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then I remember one day, this dynamic's going on for weeks. And then one day, this other woman walks in.
Uh-oh.
And she was amazing looking.
Uh-oh.
And the difference, I hate to put it this way, make it strictly physical, but we're talking about the gym, this toxic masculine word.
And
that's
it's
how
a
you're
very
evaluated.
Physical world. Like
very
nobody cares
world.
about anything but how you look.
And then this other woman comes in and she looks amazing. And like the second she walked in, the whole energy changed. And it was this moment of like, oh, that's how, I'm doing a finger quote thing right now. That's how the really hot gym woman is supposed to look.
Oh, no.
And this woman who had been basking in all this wonderful attention immediately got put on the back burner. And this new woman and the new woman did want the attention. I think she just came in literally to work out.
Yeah. But
you just saw the whole energy shift. And it became clear as day that there was a difference between the two with regards to this. And that's how I think Guru felt when he heard Jadakiss lay his verse down. It was like, oh, that's the really good rapper. I need to, okay.
Well, you really brought that around. Brought that around. I didn't see it coming. That was a good one.
Yeah, but I think there's moments in life where something becomes crystal clear.
Whatever I can do to help.
Thank you, Siri. I'm glad you got our back.
Know how to shut it off. Okay.
But that crystallizes how I felt this verse came off to me. It's just a head and shoulders, a standout verse, and simple in a lot of ways, but that's what makes it so impressive to me.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask.
Yep.
What was the singular, most fantastical moment about this feature?
It was definitely have the ambulance pass your Timberlands to your man. The whole thing where those words don't rhyme, but he made them rhyme, and the visual picture it left you with. Like, you can see the lights on top of the ambulance, and they're just on some street, and literally dudes passing Timberlands to some guy. So that's what stood out to me.
Fire.
Yeah.
So where can I hear this?
Right Where You Stand, the Owner's album, Gang Starr. There is no kind of special version of it. If you look online, there's no kind of I think special credit given to it. There's no Tiny Desk performance of it, unfortunately. I don't even think there's a live show version of it. You just got to listen to the song, and I think it's fantastic.
Is that at 51 seconds? Jada
yeah, so when I listen to this song, I don't even listen to Guru. I now skip forward to where Jadakiss comes in, and then when he stops rapping, the song is over for me.
Yeah.
And I like Guru. I'm not trying to trash him, but, certain moments, yeah.
I'm hearing that this is the moment for you.
This is the moment. And this is, from this time moving forward, I was like, mainstream rappers can be good. Jay-Z can actually be a dope rapper.
This was a game changer.
Yeah, it was a game changer for me. Yeah.
Jada changed it for you.
Yeah.
So, look, we want you to share your perspective with us. How did you experience this moment in music? What was happening in your life? And do you have any juicy stories to tell us? If so, share your stories with us on Instagram, or even better, tag us on your story at What's Perfect Really Podcast. Want me to take this out?
Yes, please.
All right. So I'll say, we invite you to take what you want from the podcast and leave what you don't, because ain't nobody perfect.
Hello.
Adios.
You are watching an informative video to learn more about an English word. Perfect. P-E-R-F-E-C-T. Perfect. Definitions of perfect. Adjective. Having all the required or desirable elements, qualities, or characteristics, as good as it is possible to be. Perfect.